Hey guys, B Twice here. Today is Saturday, July 24th. I hope everybody is having a good weekend. Today we're going to be doing Elliott wave theory analysis of CCIV and CCIV alone for two reasons. One, the other day I posted a video on CCIV and I wasn't entirely sure what I was looking at. I still like CCIV long term, I said, so I wasn't selling my position, but I just wasn't seeing where it was going to be able to actively take a trade if I was trying to do something with options or some short term momentum trade. So, with that being said, after looking at it some more and really thinking about it, I started going down the road of maybe this is a flat. Which is kind of a confusing structure to label. And obviously, when I start looking at flats and different triangles, I have to go to Elliott Wave Forecast website to look at their book just to see all the different rules because I do not have them memorized. Just to make sure that this structure could be labeled as a flat or what is exactly that we're looking at. In the past, I saw that CCIV came down here to this 17 range, and I was saying that that was my wave 2 bottom. The last video I put up about CCIV, I said I wasn't entirely sure that maybe we were in a deeper correction and that we were going to go down and break that. Now, that is still entirely possible, but then the more I was looking at this, I really started to like the idea of, hey, that this impulse up was a 1, like I originally thought, but we weren't in a 1, 2, 1, 2 nest as I was saying the last few weeks ago. Ultimately, what we're in was a complex correction, and what I found is that I believe we're in an expanded flat. So now let's talk about what an expanded flat is. So it's a corrective wave, three-wave structure. So you have an A, a B, and a C, right? A and B are divided in or subdivided into any three-wave structures, W, X, Y, stuff like that. And then C is an impulse. So your A and your B are both can be both subdivided into any three-wave structure, and then your C ends up becoming an impulse. Now B ends up being 123.6% of A. So here's your A. So then this B, since it's 123.6% of A, it means it's going to go above your wave 1 top. Most of the time that these structures happen, I don't commonly jump right to that. Um, I don't know how rare in the market it is itself, but I have not seen most of my accounts have this happen um, almost ever. I think I've seen it maybe one time where I've seen somebody else had an account that did appear valid that had the B go above where our wave 1 was. So with that being said, a lot of times I don't jump right to that conclusion. So a lot of times when I'm seeing these structures, my initial thought is we have a 1-2-1-2 nest because that is much more common. Just because your wave 3 is usually your extended wave anyway. So after you go up for 1 and pull back for a 2, you're going to have an impulse up because that's going to be your next 1. It's going to be the wave 1 of the 3 that you're currently in. So a lot of times I'll jump to that conclusion more often. Now, with that being said, so the 123% extension. So you basically take an extension of this drop and you extend it from where it bottomed. And then that will show you where your extension is going to end up. So the way to do it on Thinkorswim, you actually have to do it backwards. You have to go extend from here to here and then project it from down here. And then that will give you your price target up here. Because if you do it this way, then it's going to project it down here. So just be mindful of that. When you take your extension, start down here, go to the top, and then pull back and extend it from down here. And that will show your projection up here of 123.6. So you can see our wave B basically went right to there. It went a little bit above it, but basically it went right there to there. So we're saying, hey, that does look like a valid B. So now we're looking for our wave C. So what are the two different things we know? Well, we know that this has to be an impulse to the downside. And we know it has to be somewhere between 123.6 to 161.8% of AB. So with that being said, what do we see here? So we're seeing an impulse to the downside, but the question becomes, have we already found our bottom and that we're an impulse up to the upside, or are we still looking for our wave 5 bottom? So what do we see here? Well, what I'm favoring, which is unfortunate, is that this structure coming down it was an impulse in itself. You could see 5 waves down. So it either meant that this was going to end up being our bottom, which it didn't hit 123.6, and obviously it wasn't our bottom because we went lower, or it means it has to be a 1. So I'm saying, hey, that's most likely a 1. We pulled back for a 2. This impulse down was a 3, and more than likely right now we're in a structure looking for our wave 4 and we're ultimately going to head lower. So with this count, I am favoring what I'm about to show you as the bear count, because the bear count is that this was a 1, this is a 2, this was a 3. We've got an A, a B, and we're looking for our C somewhere around here, and that's going to be a 4. We're going to get rejected, and ultimately we're going to head lower, and then our bottom's going to be somewhere between 22. If it's it's either going to be between 22 or 20, and that's all going to depend on if it's a truncated fifth wave, because if it doesn't go below here, then that means it's a truncated fifth wave, or is it going to be a true fifth wave where that ends below this wave 3 peak. So with that being said, like I said, I am favoring the bear count, but I do think all dips are a buy, and the reason I think that is I do think that we're nearing our wave 2 bottom, this orange wave 2. We had a 1, and we're looking for our wave 2 bottom. And if you remember from when I was projecting off of this 1-2 structure, my wave 3 price target is somewhere around $40 a share, but it all depends on where our wave 2 bottom is. Since it's going to come lower, I think this was $40. Maybe we're going to be looking at 38. So either way, I do think all dips are a buy on CCIV, which its ticker change should happen this week, and it should be LCID, because obviously on Friday it did pass the vote. So with that being said, I do still see dips as a buy on CCIV, even though I am favoring this bear count, meaning that we will head lower and likely cross what our low was last week or so. But with that being said, um, yeah, either way, I don't even remember where I was going with that. But either way, let's look at the bull count. So the bull count would be that we've already had 5 ways to the downside, and that our 1 was somewhere in here, and that maybe we had like a shallow 1, right? So this was our 1, and then ultimately came down for a wave 3, that this was a wave 4, and then this whole structure down was a 5, which is entirely possible. It's entirely possible that this was our 1, and then we had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that this was a 3, and then we had a massive 4 rally, and then we had an extended wave down for a 5. So that would be a valid count too. And that would mean that right here, where I've got this 3 drawn, where I've got this 3 and it's not letting me move it, that actually that's our C wave, which ultimately is also our wave 2, and that instead of this being an A, it's a 1. So we had a 1, a 2, and now we're popping up for a 3. And this is why I say all dips are a buy on CCIV, even in this range, is because our wave 3 price target is 28. Now, mind you, even though I'm saying I'm favoring it to come a little bit lower, and more or less that's just because I think that we're seeing a 5 to a 1, a 3 wave to a 2, a 5 to a 3, and then I think we're in the middle of seeing a 3 wave up for our 4. I could be completely wrong, and this could be a 1, this could be a 2, and this could be a 3. So I do have a position in CCIV. I am long. I am not selling my shares. And I will be looking to add calls if we do head lower. If we don't head lower, then what I'll be doing is I'll be waiting for confirmation that we're actually in a clear uptrend. I'll wait till we get to around 28, and then we'll look for a pullback. Because what's going to happen is if the bear count is, or excuse me, if the bull count is right here, and we've gone up for 1 and pulled back for 2, we're going to know very soon, because we're going to rally higher. We're going to get to this 28. We'll pull back a little bit. From there, we'll rally to probably 29 or 30. And then from there, we'll have a 60% retracement. On that 60% retracement, we're going to get a 3-wave move to the downside. That's where we go long calls, looking for that 38 price target, because then we're going to have a higher degree 1. So we're going to be, and then when we pull back, we'll be in a 2, and then we'll be in a 3 of 3, and that's the spot you want to be in, because that's going to be the ultimate ripper. So we're going to keep watching this stock. Just right now, we're in this middle zone that we really don't know if we've already found bottom or if we're going to head lower. So all dips remain a buy. The one thing that I did forget to talk about on this expanded flat is you must have momentum divergence. So if you look at the RSI, what are we seeing? We're actually seeing bullish divergence, which is a really good sign. And that could actually technically mean that maybe we won't, maybe the bull count here is right and that we won't head lower. But even though I am favoring the bear count. But with that being said, what are we seeing? Well, as you can see, we're making new lows. So this low was higher than this low. So this low was lower. But look what's happening to the RSI. The RSI did not make a new low. That's a really good sign for a stock. That's usually what you see when you're starting to bottom. So with that being said, could we still head lower and go back and retest somewhere around the C range? Sure, we could. If you get lucky enough to see that, buy shares. I will be as well. If we aren't lucky enough to see that and we rally higher, then you just want to wait for a good dip to buy, and ultimately we'll be looking for going up for a 1, pulling back for a 2, and then going long call options there. So, all right, guys, I hope this makes sense. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and throw them in there, and we'll keep watching the stock and look for a good entry for options. All right, guys, have a good weekend.